So today I'll be showing you how to set up a new deal pipeline in HubSpot and how to customize it a little bit to better fit your specific needs. So just going to highlight as well that the data here, it's dummy data, so it might look a little bit weird, but it's not real information. Anyways, so we would find our pipeline in sales and under deals. So this is where we jump in, we get our pipeline. And as you see, there are two different views. We have the grid here, it's drag and drop. You can move things across. It's a little bit more limited in terms of functionality though. So we also have the list view. In here, you can see it looks a little bit different. The filter is the new version of the HubSpot filtering function. And if we want to, if we have multiple pipelines, for example, we can actually see all of those here at one place. We can't do that in the grid line. So some reason why you might want to have more pipeline could be that you have very distinct and different sales processes and products you're selling, which is not sold in the same way. You might have a pipeline for inbound leads, one for onboarding new clients. So there's a bunch of different use cases for having multiple pipelines as well. In the free CRM, you get one deal pipeline. In Starter, you get two, 15 in professional and 50 in enterprise. As of this publishing, that might change in the future. So always make sure to check the HubSpot pricing page to get the most up-to-date pricing and limitations and functionality that you will be getting. Anyways, so let's actually jump back into the grid view here. So there are two ways we can go in and look in more detail at a deal. Of course, we have the standard one here where you just see the deal amount and the close date. If we click anywhere besides the hyperlink, it will take us to a snapshot of the deal where you see some of the information, and you will also see the standard properties that you chose for this deal. And I will show you how to customize this as well to kind of fit what you want to see and what's relevant for you and your team. If we want to go in and look at the complete deal record, we would need to click on the hyperlink, and that will take us to the deal card here. You have your timeline. It looks the same for contacts, companies, deals, tickets. You have your quick filters up here if we want to filter on notes, emails, calls, for example. And again, to the left, we have the standard information. Some of it you can't remove. Some of it you can actually add your own fields. If you as a sales rep would like to see something different than your colleagues, you can add that here as well, but you can never remove the standard properties. Anyways, if we then want to go in and actually create a new pipeline, we would do that in two different ways. The first way is to click here and click on Edit Pipelines. That takes you straight into the deal record editor, deal pipeline editor. Or we can click on this wheel up here. We would then need to click on CRM and on deals, and that would take us to the exact same view. So here we can see the pipelines we have. Right now we just have one. We can add new ones, rename the one we have. If we have multiple ones, we might want to have one that is the first one that people see when they log in, and that's not the same as the one that was on top right now. You can also change the order. Here you can see the different stages. You can, of course, change the name here. So if you just have one pipeline and you just want to have your own deal stages, you can do that. You can delete stages if you want to, and you can add additional stages. I would say in general here, keep it as lean and as simple as you can. Less is usually better here. And if you find your sales rep are skipping a stage a lot of the time, ideally, you want the deals to go through all the stages just in terms of you get better data and insights. So if there's a stage that people don't use, it might be a good idea to just delete it. And also if it's just used in some scenarios and you find you have two very distinct sales processes, might be a good idea as well to actually, in that instance, create a new pipeline to fit your different approaches depending on what kind of service or product it is. So anyways, we also have win probability. This is relevant in terms of forecasting and HubSpot reports. So if you want to see your expected forecast close for this month, this quarter, this year, for example, it will be using the win probability. You can use the standard intervals, or you can have Oh, no, I was supposed to write 95. You can create your own ones if you like. In there, not the best way to do it, I guess. So yeah, so let's just say I want to have that at 10%. And then you also have those stage properties, which is a prompt. So when you're moving a deal to a new stage, you might want to add additional information depending on how your sales process look like. You can make this mandatory or voluntary. So in general here, I would say less is better. Don't ask for too much information and don't make too much of it mandatory, because it is manual input. And we want to make sure that the manual input we're asking for is really crucial for the business and for us to be able to make better decisions. So if it's not absolutely necessary, just leave it out, because having some high quality data is better than having a lot of garbage data. The only thing to be aware of here as well is in the first stage, if we can put all the mandatory stuff in here, it's not really going to change much, at least not in terms of how you would typically create a new deal. So when we are creating a new deal, this first deal stage, just ignore this one here and instead go up to manage here. And so this is where you change the information you would be seeing when you're creating a new deal in the first place. Some of this information, well, you can't do much about it. It's there. And you can just say that this is all we want, but you can also say, I want to show additional information. For example, I want the sales rep to put in a deal amount, and I want to make that mandatory, for example. So here you can toggle all HubSpot's standard properties. You can also create your own ones up to 1,000 custom properties. So if you just want to have your own stuff, you can do that as well. Anyways, let's hit save. So now when we're creating a deal, we need to fill out those 4 pieces of information. And maybe if we have a closed won deal, we want to know the closed won reason, for example, because that's important for us. And here we might want to add our own fields as well, like describe the sales process, our competitors. There might be a bunch of crucial information here. Contract start date, for example, that we would like the sales rep to always fill out before they can actually update a deal to close one. Of course, they can write in random information that is not correct, but that's fairly easy to check. And I would also say here, for example, if you have closed won reason as a drop down because you want to standardize it, stay away from being funny. Because if you have a stage that is, or one reason that is because we're awesome or something like that, well, everyone will be using it and you have a field that is completely useless. So stay away from that. If you want to be funny, just don't do that here. Do it somewhere differently. So yeah, keep it to stuff that is actually important and relevant for your business and information that is relevant. We also have automation. I'm not going to go into that in this this session here. But anyways, we wanted to create a new pipeline. So just checking so I didn't do it already. We would go in here, we would click on create new pipeline, and we would, oh, that was horrible. We would call it new biz, for example. So that would bring us to a new pipeline, and we can toggle between them here. And again, you can change the name. This is the HubSpot standard ones that they're always going to show you when you create a new pipeline. And you can, of course, edit that as I showed before. So that is the standard setup that we will be doing here. The only thing here I would like to cover as well is you can also choose what is the amount on the deal. What is that? If you are selling monthly deals, no lock-in, it's a monthly fee they're paying and they can cancel anytime. Maybe you should have it as MRR. If you're selling using annual contracts, AR might be a good option. And there is also total contract value, manual entry, and a bunch of different ways here. The important thing I would say is that you are consistent with how you are actually doing it. Because if you're sometimes doing MRR, sometimes ARR, sometimes annual contract value, it's just going to be a mess in terms of the forecasting. So make sure you agree that internally on one way to do it. The last thing I want to show you then is the properties that you're seeing on the deal record. So I showed you before, if you click on the preview or go into the contact card, you would see some specific pieces of information. To edit that, you would go into this piece here. Let's click here. And yeah, that will take us in here, and we can then go in and tweak and edit. So you can always edit this part, and you can add additional information, you can add your own fields. I would say here in general, this is always going to be there and you can't remove it. So keep it as lean as possible. So have a discussion internally, agree what are crucial pieces of information, because even if you have 20 different pipelines, you will always see this information. You can't remove it. So keep this to crucial account information if you have the option to add additional sections. If you are on a free version, for example, or a starter version and you can't edit it, well, you just need to add more information, I guess. But you can always as well add additional information as a rep. So again, don't do too much here because it would just fill up the entire screen and they have to scroll down to see all the information. And if they add their own stuff, it's just going to be a mess. Anyways, again, we have our properties here. Create your own ones if you like, or use HubSpot's ones if you like. You can reorder it. You can delete if you want to. And another way, of course, is to add a section. So in professional and enterprise, you can add sections here. This might be relevant, for example, if you have onboarding. So how we use this is we have one pipeline for onboarding new clients and we have one new business pipeline. For new business, I want to see some kind of information. We have our qualification framework, that is information we need to fill out. So that is something we want to show on a deal card. But on the onboarding card, for example, for onboarding, we might want to show something completely different that is more relevant to that part of the conversation. So again, we can add stuff here if we like, and again, reorder if you like. Yeah, so that's essentially how we set that up. If we want to make it conditional, we can say I would only want to show this for a pipeline, and I want to have it for the new biz pipeline, for example. Hit save, and this would then be showing up as a new pipeline, new view. So that is essentially how we set that up. And one last thing I want to show you then is now we have those here. To filter, because that's one thing, of course, that you want to set up as well. You want to create some different standard filters for your team, because I don't want to see all those deals that everyone is owning. So I might just want to see my own stuff, for example. So you can create a view saying, and this goes for all the sales reps, so they would only see their own deals. And you might want to have expected close date this month, this quarter, this year, for example. All those filters would then be show up here. And you can choose, should they be for yourself only, or for your team if you have teams in professional and above, or just for yourself. Let's just call it me. So one thing I just want to highlight, if you want to change your standard view, because if you log in now, it will always show all the deals. So if you want to go in, as of this writing, at least I haven't found a better way to do it yet. You need to go into the list view here, click on the filter you want to make your own, and click on make default. But yeah, so we would just need to pin it and then click on make default. Now this means that when I log into my deals here, I would have this as my standard view, so I wouldn't have to always apply the same filter. So that's just a quick and easy way to change, like, what are you seeing when you're logging into to an account. But I think that's pretty much it for today. If you have some more questions, thoughts, ideas, hit me up on the chat, email, whatever you like. And yeah, happy to discuss this in more detail. So yeah, have a nice rest of your day.